Inside the steel walls of this 1970s freight train, 30 automobiles travel at a 90-degree angle, their noses pointing directly at the tracks. Engineers designed this specialized freight system to turn the Chevrolet Vega into a logistical weapon. The goal was to reach every corner of the United States at a cost the Japanese competition couldn't match. General Motors collaborated with the Southern Pacific Railroad to create the system, naming it the Vert-A-Pac. The railcar was a success, but the same corporate mandate that made it possible would also drive the Vega into an engineering crisis that changed the American automotive industry. By the late 1960s, Japanese and German subcompacts were capturing a rapidly expanding share of the American market. These imports were winning because they offered high fuel economy and reliability at a time when Detroit remained committed to large displacement V8s. General Motors President Ed Cole responded with Project XP887, a directive to build a domestic subcompact that would outperform the imports in every category. Cole set rigid parameters. The car had to weigh exactly 2,000 pounds and sell for under $2,000. This obsession with low weight and cost targets allowed the shipping logistics to thrive, but it left the vehicle's mechanical core vulnerable. To protect the Vega's low price point, GM had to minimize cross-country shipping costs. Standard tri-level auto racks only held 18 vehicles. By hanging the Vegas vertically, the Vert-A-Pac held 30, cutting transit costs by 40%. Shipping a car nose down for thousands of miles required the VK5 option package, a series of modifications to ensure the vehicle survived the trip without leaking. Engineers added oil pan baffles to keep the number 1 cylinder from flooding, angled the washer bottle, and used specialized battery caps. They also added a carburetor drain tube, routing excess gasoline into the vapor canister, allowing the car to travel fully fueled. The logistics team succeeded in maximizing spatial efficiency, but the powertrain team was using that same cost-cutting mandate to build a fragile engine. To hit the 2,000-pound weight target, GM experimented with a sleeveless aluminum silicon block made from an alloy called Reynolds A390. Typically, aluminum engines require cast iron liners to protect the cylinder bores. Removing these liners saved GM $8 per engine, leaving pistons sliding against bare aluminum. GM paired this soft aluminum block with a heavy cast iron cylinder head. Because aluminum and iron expand at different rates when heated, the engine was physically stressed by its own design. The cooling system was undersized, and testing overlooked what would happen if a consumer failed to maintain perfect coolant levels. When the engine overheated, the block warped. Silicon crystals intended to provide a hard surface broke loose, scraping deep, destructive gouges into the iron-plated pistons. Excessive heat also caused the cheap rubber valve stem seals to crack, allowing raw engine oil to leak directly into the combustion chamber. Because the cylinders lacked iron liners, the scored blocks couldn't be repaired at a typical machine shop. The Vega became an oil-burning car that destroyed itself from the inside out. The engine bay was only one part of the problem. As Vegas reached the dealerships, the buying public discovered quality control issues across the entire car. Notoriously thin sheet metal often rusted during the first winter. Production at the Lordstown plant was so fast that labor relations collapsed, leading to reports of active sabotage on the assembly line. This failure coincided with the 1973 OPEC oil embargo. As gas prices rose and supply dropped, Americans looked for fuel-efficient cars they could trust. Precisely when consumers needed a reliable small car, GM's flagship subcompact was gaining a reputation for burning oil and rusting through its fenders. This shift had an immediate effect. Millions of buyers who were burned by the Vega's unreliability moved away from Detroit's small car offerings. They turned to Japanese imports like the Honda Civic and Toyota Corolla. These cars used conservative, iron-sleeved engines that prioritized durability over experimental weight saving. While the Japanese imports demonstrated decades of reliable service life, the Vega fleet rapidly aged out of existence. The failure of the Vega project ended GM's dominance in the subcompact sector, as Japanese manufacturers captured the majority of the US small car market. The story of the Vega proves that efficiency in the railcar means nothing if the car itself doesn't last. Subscribe to Archives World for more, and tell us in the comments about the worst car you've ever owned.